Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the HGO podcast. I'm one of your hosts today, Ethan, and joining me, as always, are my good friends, Hunter and Kyle. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Hello.
I'm doing just swell.
I've upgraded my setup. New
Yeah.
webcam, microphone
little by
on
little.
a boom arm.
Yeah, get you, aren't you fancy?
Yeah, dude, me just casually dropping $200 on this podcast.
You better like, comment, and subscribe because
Please, I'm broke.
this costs money, and I can tell you for a fact that we aren't getting any of it. I can tell you that much. But no, you're looking good, and yeah,
Thank you.
feeling good. Splatoon
I'm feeling
happened.
good, man.
Yeah. It's been a good week. It's been a good
Yeah.
week.
What's going on with you, man?
Not much, pretty tired, got like no sleep, then got a lot of sleep. Queen died, might get a day off, bit of a weird week, but that's what happens in life, innit? Like, what could happen? Did she cancel that Nintendo Direct? Jeff, will you tell us? Maybe we'll talk about that later. Who knows? Hunter's going into the Matrix.
Did she break Hunter's webcam?
Oh
Who
my
knows?
gosh, who knows? Are you doing alright, Hunter, in Matrix land?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing okay. Just surviving there.
Yeah, just surviving. That's the understatement of the
Queen killed
century.
my car.
Yeah.
Oh no.
She did more than that. Like, yeah. I can't believe you would just swept that under the rug. Like, literally.
Yeah.
He looks like he was playing Destruction All Stars, and like that image was the first time I remembered Destruction All Stars existed in like 8 months. And I was like, yeah, dude, like that he's been grinding that game that's been dead. But no. At least you're okay. We're all okay. We're all alive. We're all here.
Yeah.
Death of the monarchy or Hunter's car dying. Like, it's not going to bring us down. We're still here to talk about video games. The third time we're going to try and get Splatoon people to listen to our podcast. We'll see how it goes. It's the kind of the final push here. But no. It's all right. We
can go for a spoiler cast and try a fourth time.
Well, yeah, I'm sure the Splatoon fans are gonna love that, dude. The sunken
the
scrolls. Yeah, like I must know what was DJ Octavio's motive at the start of the game. Let's discuss. Come on. It's just that
Come on,
easy.
dude. It's like Kirby fans. I'm sure there's someone who plays Splatoon for the lore.
Probably, dude. There's probably the Splatoon lore channel, and it's probably got nothing on the Elden Ring lore channels and the FromSoft guys. Like, they're probably just going, guys, look, it's the Eiffel Tower. Like, that's about it. That's all they
It's
have.
upside down. It
Vati
fell.
Vidya fears splat lore.
Yeah, exactly. But no, if you haven't guessed, that will be the main topic of the show this week, is we're going to be giving our first impressions, or kind of, they're not even really first impressions because we played the Splatfest demo. So at this point, it's basically an early review. I've played, like, if you include the Splatfest demo, I've probably now played 24 hours of Splatoon 3. Kyle, you've probably played something similar.
Probably close, yeah.
Hunter, you've probably put about 10 in between the two at this stage, at least.
Yeah, 10 or 12 probably.
So we've got plenty of discussion. We've played everything, at least a little bit. You guys have played the story mode. We've obviously played multiplayer. I played a bit of Salmon Run, Grisco, whatever you want to call it. So we've got a lot to talk about. And then if that doesn't quench our thirst for the podcast, we can always talk about the Ubisoft stuff. The Nintendo Direct. Will it happen? Will it won't happen? Did the Queen kill the Nintendo Direct along with herself? We'll find out. I don't know. I feel, is that too soon to say stuff like that? Like,
I don't know. She was your monarch, man.
I think it
Who are we
depends
to
on your
say?
view of the royal family.
It's one of those things where it's like, I see both sides. I've never been a huge fan of the monarchy, but also, it's a very controversial thing that I'm like, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole, to be honest. It's like,
Yeah.
the Gulag memes were funny though, like, but also it's like I see both sides, and it's like with presidents, right? It's like with that, you can have opinions on presidents, but at the end of the day, they're gonna do good things, but then also they're probably going to kill a lot of people in wars or whatever have you. It's always like there's always going to be a mixed bag with stuff, depending on how you look at stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel pretty neutral kind of negative, probably. But also, I'm in a lucky position where I can do that. Anyway, that's enough of that, because this is a gaming podcast, if you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen. Like and subscribe for more commentary
And
on
smash
current
that
events.
bell.
Yeah, bro, you know you want to. But now, We'll talk about Ubisoft Forward. We may talk about the Nintendo Direct. Hunters played River City Girls, and I played the Artful Escape. So we'll talk about all that in this week's episode. As always, this is the HGO podcast. We come to you live every Monday at 5 p.m. UK time, 12 p.m. Eastern on podcast services, slightly later on youtube.com/hotgamersonly, where you can look at our stupid faces every week. And yeah, any reviews, support, you can contact the show at hotgamersonly@gmail.com, but all of it's really appreciated. Thank you for everyone that does. And thank you for listening to last week's episode. Apparently, a lot of you love when we talk about negative things, which is funny, because then when we talk about something positive, but frame it as maybe it'll be negative, you guys just throw a hissy fit. So let's see what happens this week, because I feel like, spoiler
To be
alert.
fair, I don't think that was the same people.
Oh, it definitely wasn't. And to be fair,
no way.
let's because we do these overrated videos, and because the last one went so fucking out of line, let's start with this. I think Splatoon 3 is a great video game. What about you guys? Let's just get
I think Splatoon
statement
3
out.
is a great video game.
Cool.
Yeah, I
Hunter?
feel like it's probably the most whole package of the three of them so far.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely.
At launch already, I feel like it's more complete than the other two were, and it's still going to get more stuff to come. So there you go.
I think my bottom line with this video game is, like, if we were coming up with like a tagline or a little thing to kind of go, is it's like, it's not an innovator. There is nothing new in Splatoon 3 that is different from anything that Splatoon's done before, but it's probably the most kind of refined package that Splatoon has ever had. It has the most content, and it's probably the most feature like rich game from the get-go. Splatoon 2 had a lot of content. Splatoon 1 had a lot of content. But at the start, those games were bare bones as fuck. Whereas this game, you've got 12 multiplayer maps from the get-go. You've got Salmon Run open 24/7, and it has multiple maps from the get-go this time. We only had one Salmon Run map last time, if I remember correctly, one or two. But we have at least 3 now, which is great. And I feel like the single player is probably the biggest and the most refined single player that they've done. So it's like, overall, very good package. I don't know, where do you want to start with this, Kyle? Which section do you want to start with?
I think we've talked enough about the multiplayer from the last video, which was just solely focused on that test fire multiplayer. So
I mean, we'll cover it again quickly later for the people that haven't listened. I will frame that. We will talk about multiplayer, but if you want to talk about single player first, I'm
I was
fine
thinking
with talking
single
about
player would be a
single
good place to start.
No spoilers. I mean, it's fucking Splatoon. Like, come on, kids. Like, what are you gonna cry? But we will probably be talking about what the single player is like, and the game does play a little trick on you in the first like 20 minutes. So if you don't want that ruined, then get out, I guess. But it's Splatoon. Come the fuck on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. What are your overall thoughts on it? Because you two haven't played Octo, right? You guys didn't play Octo expansion.
I didn't own
Honestly,
Splatoon 2.
Yeah, true. Probably should have
I
framed that
never
out there.
played all of either of the campaigns. I think I played the first part of the second one, and I played the last half of the first campaign.
Does that make sense?
Listen, man, it was
Play part 2 of part 1 and part 1 of part 2. You know, like it makes sense. Makes sense.
put it together
Just
and you've got a
Hunter
whole
things.
campaign. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
It was all I liked what I played of both of them. You know, it was solid, and I feel like this is probably going to be another decent way to teach you how to, you know, use the things that they're showing you without being shot by some person who's already played the game for 20 more hours than you every 30 seconds.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's definitely, like I say, I feel like it's the best package, because at first it starts off in classic Splatoon fashion, where it's like, the great slapfish is fucking gone missing again. Someone stole it, and Captain Cuttlefish is in a fucking sewer grate again. And you're like, okay, we're really doing this for a third time? I'm like, come on. I'm like, last I checked, the great Zapfish isn't even supposed to be here. Isn't that an Inkopolis thing? Why is it now in Splatsville? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it seems a bit dumb. But I kind of like how... My main problem with Splatoon 2 is I like Splatoon 2's kind of, like, little story mode. But I feel the problem was it was 100% a cut and dry copy and paste of Splatoon 1 story mode. And the fact that it very much was, Great Fat Sapfish has been stolen, Dr. Octavio has stolen it, it's the Octarians again. We've got to deal with the Octarians by going through every single level, collecting the Sapfish at the end of it to unlock the electrical gates to get to the next world. And there's only get to the end levels, and then there's the couple of arena levels where you fight the Octarian, like, they're kind of like Octolings that are under Octario's control or something, aren't they? They've got like the mind control cloud, whatever the fuck they are. But you've got like those. you've got like those battles in the main stages, and that's about it. Whereas Octo Expansion, which was for Splatoon 2, which came out like a year and a bit after, I think, it was kind of like like torn a period of time later, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Was basically more of a challenge map where it was like each one you went into, there was an objective, and you were restricted on what weapons you could use, and it was kind of like a, dodge this for a minute or do this kind of thing. And I liked it a lot more because it felt, one, more difficult and challenging, but two, it felt more refined and it felt like it knew what it was doing more. And my hopes and dreams for this campaign were, man, I hope that they take what they did with Octo Expansion and move that into like a the original story mode of kind of Splatoon. And for a second they got me. When those first 4 levels are just get to the end, collect the fucking Zapfish, I was like, oh my god, they're doing it again. But as soon as Octavio, this is as far as we'll get when it comes to fucking story spoilers, I promise Splatoon fans, even though there's nothing here really, it's a Splatoon. When Octavio's the first boss fight, and he's like, I immediately saw it coming where he's going to be like, it's not me, what the fuck? Like, he's like blaming Cuttlefish for stealing his minions, and it's like, I just kind of like that they went with the tongue-in-cheek idea of just being like, let's replay what we've done the first 2 times and then kind of twist it on its head immediately. I really appreciated that, because if we had to go through another one of those campaigns, I feel like I would have given up pretty quickly.
As someone who only played Splatoon 1, I really enjoyed seeing Dr. Octavio again, or DJ Octavio. It was it was a nice little callback to see him again.
Yeah,
even like a good bait and switch, being like, "Hey, here's the final boss, right up front."
I also like how the game gives you your hero armor, and I was already thinking, because I was like, damn, this starting weapon's really good, and it's like, oh, I kind of feel broken. Is the upgrade system gone in this game? And for them to kind of do a Metroidvania, like doing a Metroid where you lose all of your shit and you go back to like, literally you're wearing a top that's like half cut up, you can see like you've barely got shoes, like I feel like you're not even wearing shoes. That's weird. I'm like, damn, they're really going in on the whole starting from the bottom, you fell down a pit, now you have to get good again kind of idea, which I kind of like, because it always felt weird to me that in Splatoon story modes, you kind of go from the multiplayer like inkling that you are up to like this god that has these weapons that are really fast rate of fire and can destroy everything in the blink of an eye, and you're super quick and you have access to every grenade. And then you go back to multiplayer and you're just fucking yourself again and you've got nothing to you. So I kind of like the idea of bringing you down even worse than you would be in multiplayer and kind of bringing you back up to that level of multiplayer. I kind of like that more. It makes more sense. So I don't know. How are you guys finding all of the challenge modes and all these extra kind of things, these extra objectives? Because for someone that's played Octo Expansion, it's very familiar and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. But how do you think this kind of system of having certain weapons for certain levels and all these different objectives kind of fair in comparison to the just get to the end objectives that you've seen in Splatoon 1, I guess, for you, Cal?
I'm a big fan of it, personally. I've always liked how the Splatoon story mode basically teaches you how to play the game by forcing you to use this kind of unfamiliar stuff to you. Like, there's a few levels in this that are just dedicated to special moves, like the new stretchy arms and the new crab tank. So it kind of just forces you to be like, okay, this is how this thing works. Now let me take what I've learned here and apply this to the online mode later. I think I've always thought that's super cool, because it's teaching you without just forcing you to be like, all right, here's your tutorial.
Get good, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It's definitely, I mean, it's what Nintendo always does, right? Is like they're very much kind of, they know how to do this at this stage where they teach you how to use mechanics and get used to them. And what I think I appreciate about this game in particular is a lot of times with Nintendo games, they'll teach you the mechanics, and that's like, it's very hard when you have like over 24 weapons and over all these things, and even post-launch content that you can't plan for in a main story mode. So for it to very much have this kind of ethos of, okay, here's a new kit, learn how to use it, and we'll make a level design on this. You're not necessarily going to encounter every special and every weapon type that you're going to see in the actual multiplayer, but you're going to get a good idea of those basics, and they've kind of refined the list of weapons that you end up using. I feel like I've played all of the first 4 hub levels, so I'm like 2/3 of the way through it. I feel like in total, I've probably seen less than a dozen weapons, and if they are using, say, you see a sniper, they're tending to give you the same sniper or a couple of them, or a variant which is just, oh, this one's shorter range and faster firing. Nothing like super crazy. They're not going out of their way to be like, okay, here's every variant of the Gatling gun. Here's every variant of the Julies. I feel like it's very good at picking what they think people need to know and going with it, which I like.
Yeah,
I don't
it
know.
gives you a good like baseline to start out with as far as what you would learn while you're playing the single player mode, and then whatever you thought you were doing well with in that, you could go and inquire further on the online play.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Plus, it's not just like, it isn't just learning. Like, there's, you know, a lot of the levels and mini games are just kind of fun things to do. You know, it's like the dodging one from the first hub, which I quite liked a bit, where you just have to dodge enemies' moves for a minute, and it's just like its own little trial, just trying to get through it. There are some really fun kind of challenges like that, whereas some of them, you know, are really difficult, and some of them, if you choose like some weapons, are quite challenging, and others are just like, hey, ride some grind rails for a bit and see if you can hit all the targets. It's very much just
Inkfist
a back to
Easter Island
basics.
head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's some very dumb ones.
That
There's
one
one.
was
Yeah.
really dumb.
It was
I
goofy.
liked it. I liked it though. I liked it. It's better than the one later where it's like, here's a stack of boxes. Now make it look like the other stack of boxes, box for box, and if you break a wrong box, we're gonna kill you and you're gonna have to start over. I'm like, oh god, what is this?
Jeez.
And then
Dude,
the two weapons are a shotgun and a sniper, and you're like, oh my god, what is this? Who's nah.
My thing with the
crazy.
Easter Island painting one is that like it went on for so long. I'm just like, am I doing something wrong here? Like,
Just painting the head, bro. Just painting the Easter Island head. It's not.
is that all
It's
you
not
had
too
to
hard.
do?
Yeah, that's what you had to do.
That's all you had to do?
No, yeah, that's all you had to do.
You could climb up to the top of it to get some bonus eggs
Yeah, but that's
or
it.
whatever.
I
No.
painted the whole map.
The game literally says paint the head. And then it's like,
I thought it
oh,
said paint everything.
no, it said paint the head.
All right, well now we know why it took Kyle so long.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you live and learn.
Don't be like Kyle.
You live and learn, pal.
But yeah, I think this kind of design philosophy around the like challenge based things rather than go from point A to point B is a decent way to keep things from getting stale.
Yeah,
Because if it would have been just go A, B the whole time again, I probably would have checked out.
no, definitely.
Yeah.
It's,
And the other
yeah,
thing is that like the map, like the overworld is so open where you can open up pretty much all the levels at a time and do whatever you feel like. I've already taken down the boss of World 4 and I think I've done half the levels in that world.
yeah. Whereas I am a stickler for the rules, so I will do every weapon on every level in the level order, and then only do the boss last and move on because I'm just kind of psychotic in that way. But
See,
you know,
I don't even know what the level order is. I just started
Exactly.
I just started throwing the small fry at the fuzzy stuff, and
see, the
then
first world, I was just like walking around going, this is great. Walk to a kettle, get in the kettle, do that level, we'll find another kettle. Whereas now, because we've been playing a lot of multiplayer, and what we've been doing is there's a load of group XP and money tokens in the offline world. There's like at least 4 of them of each. So it's like, we've been trying to min-max them. So there was a point where I was like doing the world exploring first. Cause I'm like, I need my fucking token so that when me and Kyle play later, I have the double XP. Like, it's like, we're trying to do that kind of stuff. So I just got to the point where I was exploring the entirety of the island first because I had enough salmonoid eggs. And then it was like, oh, if I'm doing that, I might as well unlock all the kettles. And then I went into the list and went, oh, that one's level 1. Let's do that one first. And then the spiral continues. You know what I'm like, Hunter. I'm a fucking tragedy when it comes to things like this. So
yeah.
what's new there? I think one of the things I do appreciate moving less so towards the gameplay is that I feel like Splatoon's a really interesting case in terms of Nintendo IP. And I'm not counting Monolith. And I'm not necessarily counting like all the work that other companies have been doing with their IPs. For example, Metroid. I'm not counting Retro Metroid or even the stuff that Mercury Steam, is it, that made Samus Returns? And who made Samus Returns and Dread?
Dredge,
Can't
yeah,
remember.
that was Mercury
Mercury
Steam.
Steam. Yeah.
To be
Okay.
fair, they still had the Metroid guy in charge of that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm still not counting it because other devs have worked on that, whereas internal Nintendo is still sitting there going, Mario is Mario, and there's no development in Mario's like world. Mario's just always Mario, and he will forever be
Oh,
Mario.
yeah.
And Zelda, as much as I love Zelda, Zelda changes to a completely new Zelda and Link for the most part every single time, and there's no real development on that. And Breath of the Wild 2 is potentially, like, other than like DS spin-offs, the first time that a true like mainline Zelda is gonna get that, and it still won't. They'll still find a way to fuck it up because it's Nintendo. I really like that Splatoon, Animal Crossing is always Animal Crossing, no development. Splatoon's a world that's constantly going with us. Like, we started in 2015 in Splatoon World, and now it's 2022 in Splatoon World. So it's like every time we go back to Inkopolis, and it's like the characters are changing. They don't look like they're changing because for some reason Nintendo refuses to make new character designs for Callie and Marie, even though they're like 7 years
I don't
older.
know, man. Squid Kid physiology might just be different.
Maybe, who knows? They're like 30
Yeah,
at this
okay,
point.
to be
They're even-
honest, I
yeah.
think like adult Squid Kids would probably freak me out, to be fair.
And to be fair, I feel like the Squid Kids we have now are like, they look a lot more like teenagers than like the Squid Kids we had in the early days. I feel like there is a slight difference. They've kind of aged as well, whether it's just not 7 years like everybody else has. But it's like, it's always
post-apocalyptic vibe now. Teenagers, not the goofy kids.
Yeah. So it is interesting. Cool. Yeah. It just is really interesting to me that the Splatoon world is just one that's constantly, and even the developers have mentioned this, it's a world that's continually growing with its audience, which I just kind of like, where it's like, yeah, it is 2022 now. Everybody is older. When characters come back, they're not acting as if nothing ever happened. I really like how Splatoon's like stories all connect to each other, even though they're just shitty. Like, that's like saying New Super Mario Bros. Wii's story connected to yours for no, like, they're kind of just arcadey story modes, but each one adds on to it. Like, the old Agent 3 is now the captain of the Squidbeak Splatoon, you know? You hear things about everybody else. You hear about, like, they're not necessarily heard about them, but, you know, Pearl and Marina are still in that universe. They're going to be in the DLC later. Agent 8 is probably still out there from the Octo expansion. All these things still connect and kind of make the world actually feel like a world, whereas with other Nintendo IPs, Animal Crossing is Animal Crossing. You never feel like, oh, it's 20 years later in Animal Crossing, even though everyone seems to always have the question every time of, is Tortimer dead when we get a new entry? Everyone's like, I'm not seeing Tortimer, guys. He might be dead this time. It's like, no. You know, I just kind of really appreciate that. And it's because Monolith works on it, because they're chads. That's definitely the reason, guys. It's definitely.
Absolutely.
But no. It's just, I like the Splatoon world, so more Splatoon is good. The story mode.
Yeah, it is one of those things where it doesn't even have to be a whole lot that you do, but if you do enough to give it enough personality, and
the writing's genuinely good. The writing is genuinely good.
It's a way that's just endearing. You don't have to do that much. It's the same way that the goofy action games I like DMC, managed to get me invested in things, even though it's not necessarily like a great story. You know what I mean?
It gets you invested, right? It's like, you can have zero. Splatoon is like one of those examples where it's like, you can have zero story in your gameplay and it can just be a basic shooter, but the characters in the world kind of brings it to life and all these connections, you know? They don't have to do this, really. They don't have to go out of their way. But the fact that it's even Grisco is like linked into the story and everything like that, it's like they've done the world building, whereas most of the time Nintendo just goes, we'll do the world building, but either a completely separate entity like in Zelda, where it's a new world, and we'll make a bullshit timeline just to make the 5 fans on Reddit happy. And it's or Mario, where everything's still Mario, and it's like, no Mario game is ever connected to each other, really, other than maybe...
When are we gonna get the official Mario timeline?
Yeah, I would love to see that. I'd love to see Nintendo try, to be honest with you.
It's like if you ever Google Donkey Kong's family tree, it's always up for... It's debate. Always an interesting time.
Definitely. I just really like that. It's just like it's the reason like people like Overwatch and stuff like that is in the game of Overwatch there is zero fucking story and there is zero like reason to, but it's the world building, it's the quotes and it's the animated stuff outside of it. That's what brings you back. So I really like that Splatoon, which is Nintendo's real first try and only try at like a game that's primarily an online video game,
Yeah.
have like do their job of having world
Have
building
a
and even
continuity.
and have continuity. And even if you do hate the fucking news show, to have stuff like that where it's all built in, or the Splatfest actually have packed stuff like the Splatoon 2 one, actually choosing the game's theme for Splatoon 3, which isn't even just like a joke. I saw an interview with Nintendo recently. They were like interviewing the developers where they were talking internally about that Splatfest, and they had a whole idea for a Splatoon 3 where order was the theme, and they basically made two. They didn't rig that Splatfest or anything. They basically had two completely different pitches, and they were like, "Oh, guess we're doing chaos then because it won." So it's like stuff like that is
That's
just really
fun.
interesting. And what can I say? Well, Splatoon team are actually like chads. They are fucking chads.
Yeah, it is.
They are.
It's the
I
same
like them.
Animal Crossing and Splatoon team. Absolute chads, dude. Absolute chads. Made Japan's two favorite franchises. It seems. What a riot. Anyway, let's get out of the story mode for a bit. Let's get out of that. It's good. It's very good. You should play it.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
Multiplayer. We play the tech there, so we talked a lot about the intricacies, the ins and outs of it. How are you feeling about like map rotation, stuff like that? Because like I say, most maps in a Splatoon game, not hard fucking contest to beat, by the way. We're beating fucking 5 and 8 respectively, which is if Call of
Yeah.
Duty has more maps every year, you know you're like hitting the bar low because like even they churn out 10. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But we have
the
12
most
this
maps
time.
at launch.
Yeah, which is a good start.
And
12 is a good
on
number.
They're on a 2-hour map rotation. What was Splatoon 2's map
I'll have a look.
rotation
Splatoon 1 was definitely 4 hours, but let me look at Splatoon
I know it
2
was
while
4
you talk.
hours. That much I remember.
Yeah, God.
What a atrocious idea that was.
I got
But the
that
2-hour
GTA
map rotation
part
time.
just seared into my brain.
Splatoon 2 was 2 hours.
Oh,
So
okay.
Splatoon 2 was a 2-hour map rotation because they had regular, ranked, and league battle, which they basically have the same thing that they have now, but then also Salmon Run was obviously the fucking question mark
outlier,
where, yeah. That thing's available for days at a time, but then goes away for days at a time. Like, for example, right now, it's now open until the 12th. Yeah, they're doing. The game has basically like times like of 8 hours where it just disappears. Where I'm like, why? Why is that shit? Stupid. It's stupid. But no. Anyway,
But
12
yeah,
maps.
The 2-hour map rotation definitely helps with like keeping my interest alive and wanting to play the game.
Especially because, like you say, you haven't played since Splatoon 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it also helps. Sorry, I was typing in this again because I wanted to see what Splatoon 1's map rotation was like. Ah, God, okay.
Bad.
I'm gonna have to write that in the
4 hours.
timestamps. Yeah, I'm gonna write that in the timestamps. No, because I went to a website and it started blasting music, so I'm gonna write that in the timestamps real quick.
No.
Yeah, 2920, 2920. Yikes! I can't. Well, I just wanted to know the map rotation for Splatoon 1, right?
I'm pretty sure it was 4 hours.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
4 hours, and I think
it
it was
was.
just Turf War and whatever ranked mode there was between Splat Zones, Tower Control, and Rainmaker.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was 4 hours.
That was all.
It was tragic, yeah. So yeah, I like that. I also like that it's a decent set of maps from what I've played so far. Like,
yeah,
it's a good variety, if not a bit samey. Like, I hate Moray Towers as much as the next hater of Moray Towers because it's a garbage map. But what you can say about Moray Towers is it's an interesting and unique map with its layout. I think a lot of these maps almost feel safe in the way they are, where it is usually very much the two spawns, a central area, and then two little side cutoffs to the left and right of the center that either connect to the spawns or are just individually off to the side. And I feel like that's a majority of the Splatoon maps, which is fine. It's a good layout, right? And
Yeah.
trust me, a lot of other video games, multiplayer shooters have this kind of level design. Call of Duty, Treyarch games are very often known for having this design principle called the 3-lane design, where you have a left, a right, and a center lane, and things can get mixed up, and there can be ways to cross paths, but very much each map is based on this 3-lane design, and people like it for better or worse because it can get very repetitive. I think for now, Splatoon is going for a very similar design with their maps, which I think is fine. There's some unique ones, but I feel like it's weird to me that the unique ones are almost being from the older games. Like every like whether it's the hotel one, I can't remember what the name of it is called, but it's like the one where the one Mahi Resort where the water drops, right? It's an interesting gimmick. I like it, but it is from a past Splatoon game. Same with gosh, what
the
is
amusement park with
the amusement park
rotating
one with the rotating thing underneath.
Wahoo World.
Wahoo World, interesting, but also from an original, again from a past Splatoon game. I don't mind them doing that. I'd much rather them crank up the number of maps and have that kind of freshness come from bringing back these old remasters. I like it. I also like that they're doing stuff different with it. For example, the bridge map from Splatoon 1 that was originally under construction during Splatoon 1 is now completely constructed, and it's basically a different stage, but it still has the core being of that stage integrated into it. I really like how they've done that. I almost wish they'd do that more. I hope if they do bring maps back, they kind of do a, what is this map 5 years later, 7 years later? I think that's an interesting gimmick, to be honest.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you went back to like one of the other, like one of the maps in the first game was a mall.
Yeah.
It'd be fun.
Arrow on a mall.
Fun if like some other shop was owned by, I don't know why the Salmon Run people would have a shop in a mall, but just for example, because they're the only business I can think of where you'd be like, oh yeah.
I'd also just like to see some more Splatoon 1 maps. I don't know if that's just me being like selfish. I'd love to see something like Blackberry Scalp, can't even say
Blackbelly
Skate Park. Jeez, can't speak today. But like, I'd really like to see more maps that have like slopes and interesting angles and more like unique terrain. Those would be really interesting. But no, I think it's a solid map rotation. I think the new maps are decent, but samey. And like this is the same complaint that I had with the Splatfest tech demo, where I was like, I hope if they are gonna keep going with this chaos theme, which they're gonna do, and I hope they do new maps and they don't just do remasters for the rest of the fucking game. That'd be a bit tragic. But I really do hope they go kind of all in, and it's not all the desert and grit and grime, and just kind of go all in on it, you know? One of the things I like about like the Mad Max kind of like chaos kind of style is there's color in that. There's like you can go crazy with it. You know, Crash Ford went crazy with its kind of post-apocalypse kind of Mad Max style. So did CTR when they went with their level.
So did Gravity Falls.
Well, I haven't seen Gravity Falls, so I can't attest.
Dude, you should. Great show.
No time. Brains the one not
it's 2
like that.
seasons.
Too many episodes.
No time.
Too busy playing Splatoon. But no, I would like to see more variety in that way, and there is some, like there's the merchant, like there's the I don't like I say I don't know the names of the maps very well yet because they're not ingrained into me, other than Scorch Gorge, which I do like, a good map. But I'd really like to see, like, there are some levels where I'm like, oh, this is interesting, like there is the one with like the merchant alley, whatever it's called. I like that one quite a bit, but more of that. Let's do more of that, because a lot of them are just like underground industrial kind of area and sand, and I'm like, okay, let's come on, let's do something that's not just metal and sand, guys. Come on, I believe in you.
One thing I've noticed in regards to like map design is that in splat zones, I remember from Splatoon 1, some of the maps had 2 splat zones that you had to control.
Yeah,
like 2 smaller ones on either side of the map. But in this one, I've noticed that a lot of the maps just have the one in the center.
Yeah.
And not like, I don't know, I kind of just missed that
Yeah. I
kind
don't
of like
know. I
two
don't know if there
zone
are
control
twos. I
point.
wonder if there
I
are
haven't
two
seen
splat
any.
zones.
I haven't seen
You'll have
any
to let us
from
know
what I've
if
played
there
so far.
is. I'm sure there will be in the future.
I
I'm
could
sure that's
see
not a
it
feature that they don't take
I
out.
could see it popping up, and like you said, it was like that in the first game on
If
Mhm.
one of the
that's
old
yeah,
maps.
Yeah.
definitely. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how often things get added. That's my only like that's what I'm interested in and what I'm kind of not necessarily concerned about is obviously this first catalog lasts 3 months. We got 3 months to get a dab, please. We got 3 months. And I think my only concern is we know that new weapons are coming when the catalogs come out. So we know that those are locked. So we know that we're not gonna which I think's good. I think adding a weapon every week, like Splatoon 1 did, is a fucking stupid idea for game balance. It's really bad for game balance, and it's really bad for ranked or just gameplay in general,
Yeah.
because you're basically adding chaos. Well, to be fair, it would have been perfect for Splatoon 3, but you're
Yeah.
adding chaos into it every week, because you're just chucking something out there and going, okay, everyone's got a week to figure this out before something else comes out. And it's like,
Yeah.
so I think that's a good idea, having that spaced out 3 months. It's how many maps are we getting a year? How many Splatfests are we getting a year? Because if, say, every 3 months, so basically, a quarter of the year, you're getting a new catalogue and a new set of weapons, which is good, right? That's 4 of the months down of the year, basically. Well done. Does that mean every other month is going to be 1 month map, 1 month of Splatfest? Is that how we're doing it? I just
That
think
sounds
more.
like it would be a decent cadence.
I
Mhm.
think so. It's basically the Overwatch cadence, right? 3 maps, 3 heroes, kind of like it makes sense, right? And then do 3 events like Splatfest. That makes sense. But
Yeah.
also 3 Splatfests also seems kind of low. I feel like
I
Splatfests.
I feel like they popped off with Splatfests a lot, yeah. But I like can't remember
We'll see. I'd like them to
specifically the
do
number.
more maps and more Splatfests than 3 a year, but I feel like at least 3. We'll see. I feel like there'll be one of either before the end of this month. I feel like they'll do something for the first month. They've got to
Yeah.
do something for the first month. We'll
Yeah.
see. Um, I guess wrapping it up, Salmon Run. I don't really have much to say about Salmon Run. I haven't played enough of it. I played 2 games because I was like, I better get talking about it. I better play some of it beforehand. It's the same, but with new boss types, new maps, and you can throw eggs, which is a great feature.
Woo.
But there's also a balance to it where it takes some of your ink reserve. It's basically like throwing a grenade in multiplayer, where you can throw the egg into the basket and it takes some of your ink away. I think it's great because that map, not Splatfest, fucking Salmon gets so chaotic, especially in the higher levels that you go. So just having something so that you don't have to suicide yourself to the bucket every time, you can just kind of throw it and work with it. I kind of like quite a bit. Also, shout outs to Nintendo, they didn't fuck it up. Catalog XP, you do earn it from Salmon Run. I was for sure they weren't gonna let you, but they do.
Oh, nice.
And the system's still there from the first one, so you get money and food tickets and items from playing it. So, for example, that shiny cat we've seen everyone playing with recently, you get it from Salmon Run. That's where people are getting that shiny cat from. So,
Hmm.
just interesting and another way to play. You know, I
Mm.
really like co-op modes. I know Sam does too. So it's like I can see us playing that for quite a bit. I feel like we're just trying to get single player out of the way first. But you know, it's something to
Yeah.
grind. If you get bored of just playing regular Splat, like Splat zones or any other ranked mode or just turf war in general, you've got something else to do, which is always good. Um, I guess the only other question I have to ask before we do recommendation randomness, but I feel like everyone already knows the answer at this point. We've been pretty positive. 2 questions I have. One, any negatives? Anything coming to your mind? That any
Just kind of like
quirks?
the general Nintendo-isms that I feel like, like booting us from the lobby when we're all queued up when they
When the
rotate
maps
the map,
change, yeah,
or
yeah.
not
Yeah.
being able to go and look at being able to look at the stuff, like being able to buy things in between matches, like new gear and
That's my
whatever.
big gripe. My big gripe with the lobby system is you can't buy food tickets while you're queuing. You can't even talk to Judd while you're queuing. You can't do anything. It's like Nintendo servers, how Nintendo servers always are. They're fucking held together with tape and fucking sprinkles and glitter, dude. It's like, oh no, if Judd had a fucking box open, it'd crash the game. So we can't let you talk. It's like, come on. Also, not being able to leave a lobby is really bad. Like,
Oh
Can't
yeah, that
leave, and you
too.
can't change your equipment once you've locked in.
yeah, and
In
also
ranked, you can't change your equipment at all unless you fully back out.
there's also just small quirks like double XP tokens, and they're fixed in ranked where if you get kicked out due to a communication error, it doesn't fuck with it. But in quick play, sometimes it does give you your refund back on your XP token, and sometimes it doesn't. It's just one of those Nintendoisms where it's like sometimes it counts it, sometimes it doesn't. And I'm like, what is this? It's just really ludicrous. I also think the matchmaking is a bit shit at times, where it's like sometimes you'll go like be absolutely dominated, and other times you won't be, and other times it's perfectly balanced. And I'm like, in ranked, I'm expecting to get trashed on or trash other teams, not in splat, like not in just your regular turf wars. Like, come on, like why? And I get it's early days,
Yeah.
you know, all the pros
Yeah.
are playing, but
Matchmaking
so,
hasn't been figured out yet.
yeah,
And I think the other thing I think we hit on this while we were talking, like while we were playing earlier, was it would probably like having a version of each mode where it would be ranked and unranked would be nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
an unranked playlist, especially for ranked modes, would be really nice. I
Yeah.
feel like there's a middle ground there where I don't understand why only those can be ranked and why Turf War is only unranked. I feel like, call me crazy, I really hope, like, people are always talking about where's the new pro mode, like where's the new comp mode for Splatoon 3, and we probably will get one. I would really kill for a new unranked mode. Like, I'd really like to see them
Yeah.
go, oh, can we come up with something that also kind of works for unranked? Because it's like, or
Turf
make an
War does
unranked.
kind of get boring after a
Give me
while.
a capture the flag, you cowards.
That would like, or just make a set of, like, for example, I would be like, okay, yes, I can understand why tower control might not be suited for unranked mode because that is fucking sweaty bastard of a game mode, right? I can almost maybe see that with Rainmaker as well, but it's like Clan Blitz is basically kill confirmed. We can make a casual version of Clan Blitz that isn't too fucking like
Sweaty.
competitive and sweaty, to be honest. Same goes for Splat Zones. Splat Zones is basically just domination. You can, again, I feel like there could be an unranked playlist where it's just like, hey guys, here are some of the comp modes unranked, and hey, here's, you know, and I just think there could be more variety than just 3 playlists. And I know that you don't want to fraction your audience too much when it comes to these kinds of things, but also, it's Splatoon, Nintendo. You're not going to run out of players in any fucking server capacity for a long time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry too much about it. I don't know, any other gripes other than servers?
No. I like the customization. Ethan made a joke about how even on day one with 5 options, I managed to make a character that easily identifies as me.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, customization's good. There's plenty of options for more Octolink customization, please. If you do it in the expansion, my guess is that the expansion will probably be about Agent 8 and it'll probably be the Octo expansion crew again, but doing another expansion because Pearl and Marina are nowhere to be seen. So if you are going to do that, some more Octolink cosmetics would be really good because there's something ridiculous like 14 or 16 hairstyles for the Inklings, and then like 6 or 8 for there's like half the amount for the Octolings.
Yeah, it wasn't that many, and I didn't like go back to check.
And
Like,
I'm not particularly hot on any of them that much, to be honest. Like, they're all fine, but like, especially when
I liked the one that I picked, but I wasn't really feeling the other ones.
They all kind of look samey as well, where it's like you have like the standout ones like the afro and like the mohawk kind of deal going on, but it's like a lot of the female Octoling designs look the same, and a lot of them like the male ones do too. There's a couple of standouts.
There was one that's basically some variety of just different lengths of hair in one side, in your face, and on one side being one or the other.
And you know, this is the same for the Inklings, but also at the same time, the reason for that is the reason that there's like one of the guy with the ponytail and another one with the guy in the ponytail, but he has a fucking fringe like I do, is because those were the Splatoon 1 and 2 differences, and they've just brought all like they just carry them forward each time, so it's fine. I'm fine with them there being two versions of like the twin tails with one of them now braided. That's fine because the old ones were from the old game, so I'd rather have the old customization on top of new. That's fine.
Yeah, there's no
With the
reason to get rid of
Octolings,
the Futaba Inkling.
yeah, the Octolings just feel like they had the 4 from Octo expansion and then they just did another 4 or whatever, and it's like that's it. And I'm like, you could have done more. You could have upped the ante a bit. But no. I guess. Final question. Obviously, we all recommend it. There's the stupid fucking argument. You know what I'm gonna bring up. The stupid whole should there be a sequel? Should blah blah blah. DLC, blah blah blah. God of War Ragnarok. We're gonna have the same fucking question in 2 months. Can't wait for that. Is this a justified sequel, Hunter? Is it? You need to answer. Is it? Are you sure?
Certainly, like without a doubt. Like we said at the top, it's the most feature complete and full version of one of these games. Like the one that would have arguably not been was 2, because that was a very small gap between them, and it was more like a 1.5. It felt it was like I figured that what they like, I was surprised that it was a 2 instead of like Splatoon Deluxe or whatever, you know.
Yeah,
But
and I really hate these arguments because people are always like, back in the day, sequels was sequels. We had like the difference was crazy, and it's like all this stuff, and I'm like, who the fuck are you on? Like, can we go back to the glory days?
I remember Crash 3, where there was half the platforming of the second game. Come on.
Yeah, and it's like, let's talk about, literally, let's go back to that 90s, 2000s era, because everyone's talking about that era, by the way. We know how old you are if you're making this fucking argument. And let's go back to the land of Sly 1, Sly 2, Sly 3. Sly 2 and 3 are basically the same fucking game. If those games were made now, would we be having is this DLC? Like, fuck me. Like, I hate it.
Well,
Same with like Ratchet 2 and 3.
With those mascot platformers back then, it was always like big jump between 1 and 2, and then between 2 and 3, it was always just like 3 was like, let's add the gimmicks in this one.
Yeah,
like Crash 3, Spyro 3. I love Sly 3, but that game is just gimmicks.
Yeah, exactly.
With how many like other shit they put into it.
But it's like, even then, right? It's like people make this argument of God of War Ragnarok, and trust me, we'll probably be banging this drum again when that comes around, because it's the only remaining game of the year, right? But
hey, Bayonetta 3.
And Bayonetta 3, can't forget that.
We can make the argument again.
And Persona 5 again, but that one is a port. I'll let you have that one.
And Pokemon again.
And Pokemon again.
Yeah, but that's been DLC since 2.
Yeah, true.
True.
But it's like, even then, right? It's like, God of War. Like, we've all seen God of War, but it's like, God of War 1, 2, and 3 are all very much the reason that they
similar.
look. The reason that they look different is just because there's like they're on different. The reason 2 and 3 look different is because they're on different fucking consoles. Like 1 and 2 are very similar looking video games. Like, there's not a huge gap there. And it's the same here. It's like, I don't get it. Like, it genuinely baffles me. It's like, you don't have to go and remake everything from the ground up every single time. You also, Splatoon 1 and 2 look just as similar, but people are just going to make the difference that it's on a different console. And, like, that's no justifiable reason. Like, just, like, different console, so it's now app. I'm like, fucking hell, bro. Like, it's just such a stupid argument.
It is stupid, and, like, you know, if it helps the developers not have to, you know, work till stupid o'clock to get their games made, to reuse some animations or whatever, I'm all for it. You know,
it's just
I want my games to be a little shorter and a little cheaper to make, and I don't mean that sarcastically.
The only games that I'll actually allow you to fucking make that argument for are sports games. I'll let you make that argument for sports games. Fair enough. They could be patches. They probably could be updates like that, DLCs. I'll let you have that. But it's like that argument pisses me off. Even with something like Call of Duty, I think Call of Duty is fucking mid as fuck, but they do make a whole new campaign and a whole new set of maps every time. There is actual. That's not like they actually like people make work, even if it is a single like little small jump and the same gameplay's there. They do make shit there, and it's like the same with every game.
Even with like Ubisoft's games that barely seem different to me, I wouldn't ever say, "Oh, it's just DLC." Like, I don't care about Ubisoft's video games, but like, I wouldn't ever try to say that the work they're doing isn't real.
Yeah, exactly. It's a stupid argument, but hey. So it's worth it. I assume it's worth it. We recommend it for now.
Yeah,
Unless something terrible happens. It's got our recommendation. Well done, guys. Enjoy it. Second to last game of the year. Well, I guess there's like 4 left. Because there's like, what? Plague Tale, Bayonetta, Pokemon, and God of War.
God of War, Callisto Protocol.
Oh, Callisto Pro. Yeah, Hunter's game. Hunter's Christmas, as we'll call it. Yeah.
Monkey Island.
Monkey Island, dude. No one's got to play Monkey Island here.
We're all
though.
big Monkey Island fans
big
at Hot
Monkey
Gamers Only.
I might play it while I'm on vacation. I don't know.
God's word. Godspeed, Hunter. Godspeed.
I don't know. Those games,
you do you, man.
Those games seem funny. I might enjoy them. Like, I'll jump in on that one. Why not? I don't feel like I really need They seem amusing.
And we're back. Kyle's computer crashed, unfortunately. That's new. That's the first time for that.
But first time in 130 episodes.
Is that how long we've been doing this?
Where does the time go?
There's somewhere. It went it went into 129 episodes of the HGO podcast, or whatever it is. That's where it went. Literally, the hundreds of hours are on record.
Yeah. Every week, every Monday.
I think we missed one. We need to catch up on one, I think, still. But other than that, we're pretty good.
Did we miss one this season?
We did miss one this season.
We've missed one.
But we haven't caught up because every time we're like, something big will happen this time, guys, and then nothing fucking happens. It's like, Nintendo Direct, right?
See, what we can do is when we did our award show deliberation last time, you recorded that, but we never used it. We could just do that this time.
Yeah, we could. Who knows? But we're on the. Why are we talking about off the podcast? Off the podcast,
because it's more interesting than Ubisoft.
Great segue. Ubisoft had its Forward event on Saturday. It's today, innit? Sorry to break immersion, but yes. Anyway, so they had that, which had some announcements, such as this: Mario Rabbids gets DLC. Is that a shocker to anyone? Here's the big kicker. I hope you're a fan of Rayman, because he's finally coming out of the grave to be in Mario plus Rabbids DLC. So we got Donkey Kong in the first game, now we've got Rayman as the big expansion for Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which I think's kind of cute. I hope this means more Rayman maybe in the future, but I think it's a cool idea, to be honest, because it's like, what's the other option?
I like it.
We do another Mario character. I like it. I hope the area is Rayman inspired. That'd be pretty cool. Like having them all piss about.
Is there a Rabbid Waluigi yet? Because if not, I want to see what kind of energy that thing has.
Probably. I don't think there is. Okay.
Oh yes.
But yeah, other than that, to be honest, who gives a shit about Ubisoft? Like, there's not too much.
Yeah, I read the cliff notes of this, but nothing like stuck. There were like
Mario
5
Rabbids.
Assassin's Creed games.
We'll get to those. Skull and Bones is the game that won't die, and it's still coming out and will still be shit. Riders Republic apparently still exists, which isn't news to me. The classic Ubisoft thing of making these sports games and then sending them out, and then no one ever talks about them ever again. I remember Steep, was it? That was their last one before this.
Yeah.
I was part of an NDA'd beta for that, and it was so boring I didn't want to tell anyone. So there you go, Ubisoft. Joke's on you. Division 2 shit. There's more Division stuff. Who gives a shit about the fucking hell? How many Division? They're partnered with Netflix.
Oh right.
That's Trailer for the first season, free pet fun, a number of common elements, blah, blah, blah. The Mythic Quest. I'm trying to see if there was actually anything to do with Ubisoft in that Mythic Quest thing that they showed for some reason. No, there's nothing. Trackmania is a thing. Here's an interesting thing. Very interesting. I want to know your thoughts on this one. Just Dance 2023 is not coming to PS4 and Xbox One. It's next gen only, and it's the first Ubisoft game to go next gen only. Am I weird, or was that... I thought that'd be the last
How
game
long
to go
did it
next
take
gen.
How long did it take for them to kill the Wii support on
The Wii
Just
only
Dance?
died 3 years ago, so they would have got Just
Yeah.
Dance 19 was the last one they got. So why they already like that's crazy to me. Is like they're like, yes, the new Assassin's Creed next year will still come to PS4, but Just Dance won't. Just Dance is literally a disc full of fucking like MP4 files.
Silhouettes.
Yeah. What is
Yeah.
this? That's crazy to me. Like, but it's still going to Switch, so it's just PS5, Xbox Series, and Switch. No
That's
PS4,
so
Xbox.
weird.
Why? Like that's that's so weird. Right. Anyway, that's what I thought. That was the most interesting thing to me from this. Was that little scrutiny. Anyway, onto Assassin's Creed news. There's going to be an Assassin's Creed Netflix show because apparently the movie wasn't bad enough. So
there was an Assassin's Creed movie.
Yeah, it had Michael Fassbender in it. It's awful.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
Yeah,
awful.
Magneto.
Yeah,
is it an animated movie or show or is
no
it
live action?
Oh, goody.
And from the sounds of it, they said that they're retelling the games again. So I feel like this time they're going to actually do Assassin's Creed, which I don't know if that's worse. Because the movie, Kyle, because you're unaware, they just made... It's in universe with the games. So it takes place in a separate time.
Oh,
but it's still canon. So for Assassin's Creed fans, it had nothing because there was no like Ezio or anything like that. And for people who are new, it just had Michael Fassbender in a fucking Animus. So who cared? It was like nothing. Yeah. Also, the Animus was this weird augmented thing that went into the back of your neck, and you actually did you were like in a volume, and you did like all the moves in real life, and it was very stupid.
That's
very
weird.
stupid. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about the actual Assassin's Creed news, right? So, first one is Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is the new Assassin's Creed game, which apparently we are that fucking deep into the Assassin's Creed rabbit hole that we're apparently ready to dive back into going back to the roots of Assassin's Creed, which I think is very interesting. Mm-hmm. So, Assassin's Creed Mirage is basically... they're basically just doing an Assassin's Creed 1 type game again, but doing it in 2022, 2023, which to be honest, I think's kind of... might pick this one up because I miss old Assassin's Creed, and for that reason only, to be honest, is like, if this is going to be like one last goodbye to the old Assassin's Creed style, I kind of want to play it. There's also a rumor that in the DLC they're going to remake Assassin's Creed 1, which that game needs a remake. If like talking about games from that time period that need a remake, Assassin's Creed 1, what a great one.
Get Last of Us out of here. Get Assassin's Creed like past its proof of concept stage.
Oh, honestly, that'd be so good. Like genuinely, they should do that. I feel like we are going to eventually, when that Assassin's Creed Infinity comes out, I feel like we are going to get to the point where they're going to start remaking old Assassin's Creeds. And
they're just going to remake the whole series, like at least.
And I feel like I'll be fine with that through the Ezios, and then I won't give a shit. As 2 through Revelations, I'll be like, yes. Also, Cal's definitely... Oh, no, Cal's here. I thought you crashed again, Cal. You were staring into the oblivion, so I was like, he maybe has crashed again.
That's just what Assassin's Creed
Just thinking about Assassin's Creed.
Oh, you'd love Assassin's Creed, and by love I mean hate it. Anyway,
I'm sure there's one of them I'd tolerate. It's the boat one.
Yeah, the Ezio's one. Play the Ezio. Oh, the boat one. You'd probably
I would probably like the boat.
The 2 trilogy or 4.
Odyssey, is that what it is?
Yeah, no.
No.
Black Flag. Black Flag.
Yeah, that's
Black Flag's the pirate one.
Pirates.
Oh,
Yar.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla won't die. Like, this is why I don't play new Assassin's Creed, is because they're still releasing a new content pack like at the end of this year, and I'm like, God fucking damn, like, what? I don't get it.
Wasn't the Greek one getting DLC like a month before Valhalla launched? Even
it got DLC after Valhalla.
Oh my God, why are they like this?
They did a DLC, they did a crossover DLC where there was new content in both games, and it's like, who the fuck's a big enough Assassin's Creed fan to go, yes, now I can go back to the old game and the new game for new stuff? It's like, that's so dumb. Like, we'll get to that's so stupid. There's also a mobile Assassin's Creed coming, so that's a thing.
Good.
Just what the doctor ordered. Thank you. Kyle, I know you're a big mobile gamer, and man, have I got a game for you. It's called Assassin's...
You can put it right next to the Octopath game.
Yeah, Assassin's
in
Creed
the uninstalled folder.
Damn, that's crazy. So then, they basically announced that Assassin's Creed Mirage is the last, of this style of Assassin's Creed, I guess, before the big Assassin's Creed Infinity whatever bollocks is, where it becomes like a hub or whatever.
Infinity War?
Yeah, where they're basically trying to make Fortnite, but it's like where they're basically trying to do a thing where all Assassin's Creeds live in like one system. So it's like, you no longer have new Assassin's Creed games, you just boot up into one Assassin's Creed and the stories are in there and you can like download the stories, which seems fucking pointless to me. Like, just why? What's the point? You're just adding steps. I'd have to launch something else to get what? It's dumb. So stupid. So these are the two that... The reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm interested on Hunter's opinions on these.
Okay.
Because of the time periods exclusively.
All right.
So, the first one was called Assassin's Creed Codename Red. What a great fucking code name, Ubisoft. You must have worked really hard on that one. Which is the first one that's coming out, which is the one I am personally excited for because it's being made by Ubisoft Quebec, who aren't the original developers of Assassin's Creed, but they are, to me, the developers that make the better fucking video games. They made Syndicate and Odyssey, which Syndicate is a better version of Unity, and Odyssey is a better version of Origins. So it's like they keep trumping the original developer, which I do like. But this one is... It's finally happened, Hunter. They're 15 years late, but they're finally doing an Assassin's Creed in feudal Japan, where you will where you'll be able to play out your quote unquote very powerful shinobi fantasy, which is basically Assassin's Creed ninjas. I think that's how they're going to differentiate themselves from Ghost of Tsushima. Instead of a samurai, you're a fucking
Instead
ninja.
of a samurai, you're a ninja. To be fair, I probably would be more excited about this if Ghost of Tsushima didn't already happen.
That's my problem.
Show me what I was going to get, but for the longest time, I've said that, when Assassin's Creed does Japan, that'll be when they get me back. So maybe I'll get this one and be true to my word.
That's what I'm like, is like, here's my thing is, Ghost of Tsushima was like my most anticipated game of 2020. And it was also my least favorite game from 2020, where it was like, it wasn't the worst game I played, but it was definitely my biggest disappointment, where I just did not click with it at all. And there's a part of me that's like, man, I could really click with an Assassin's Creed ninja Japanese feudal Japan game. I could really click with that. But if it's new style Assassin's Creed, I'm gonna hit off of that like I hit off of Ghost of Tsushima, where I just will not be interested in the slightest.
Yeah, if it's a smaller, more pared down thing like 2 or something, that would be cool.
If they go back to, if Infinity's one of these things where they're gonna like do a load of Valhallas, I'm not interested. But if they're gonna be like, here's one that is like the Odyssey games, but here's a smaller one, and here's like different like quality and length of games, I'd be really into it. If this is how they diversify it, that'd be a really interesting way to do it. And this is the one that I want your opinion on, because I think this one is the interesting one. It's Assassin's Creed Codename Hexe, and it's being developed by the original team at Ubisoft Montreal, and basically it is an Assassin's Creed game set within the Salem witch trials. And I am like, this is interesting, because this is not a time period that you would expect Assassin's Creed to go to, because why the fuck would they? And from the looks of the teaser trailer is literally just a dark wood with creepy sounds, with the Assassin's Creed symbol like hanging from a rope on a tree, like made of wood. So I'm like, are they going horror with this? Like, I'm literally like, is this the start of Assassin's Creed doing, shocker, wait for it, fucking diversifying their gameplay? where I'm like, are
Yeah.
they? This is like, are they gonna do like a mini Assassin's Creed project that's like more horror centric with like witchcraft and like all that kind of jazz? And would that interest you? Is my question. Because when I
Yeah,
saw this, I'm
okay.
like, this looks
So
like a Hunter kind of like if they do this right, this might be a Hunter kind of project here.
yeah, so like big shock, something anything involving like the Salem witch trials or that kind of orbit of thing would be interesting to me. It would just speak to me on a level that would at least get me to look at it. If I see more of this and it does, and if it looks different than, if I feel something, if it makes me feel something more than just looking at Assassin's Creed footage from these past 3 or so games has, then yeah, I'd be interested to see what they do with that, because already I'm like, so as the assassin, would you be someone who's hunting down the witches, or would you be like someone who's trying to,
Oh
counterstrike
yeah.
these people persecuting the,
Or is
you
the
know,
assassin, yeah, or is it like, are you like, I feel like a really, like, there could be so many ways they go with this. Do they go into that supernatural side and there are like, the rumors of
are there
witches are
actually
somewhat
witches? Yeah.
true, or, and you're like you're basically like the equivalent of a vampire hunter, right? You're just hunting these
Yeah.
witches down. Or is it even something like on the opposite side where it's like the morals of like the creed and stuff like that? People are almost perceiving them as like the witches and stuff like that. Is it like, is it one of the, like, they could go with so many directions with this where it's like, oh, is the kind of the ethos of the creed and all the stealth and stuff like that and the things that they're doing, like poisoning people and like, is what they're doing affecting the rumors and dragging it on further? And I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say it to Ubisoft. I will be like, I'll almost be extremely disappointed if this one does not feature a female protagonist, because that'd be the most interesting way to go about this, is have someone who
Yeah,
might
like having
actually
a
be affected by it.
someone who would actually be like
Yeah.
victimized by the persecution of witches. Yeah,
This is your chance. You have fucking
this is your
bottled it
chance.
every step of the way to not have a female protagonist, and Assassin's Creed Shinobi over here definitely will not have a female protagonist. So it's like, this is your chance, Montreal, to finally not fuck up.
Are they not doing the thing where they give you the choice to like
They've not
choose
said yet.
anymore? Oh, okay.
They've not said. I mean, we saw a shadow of a figure in the Shinobi one, because that's the one that's coming first. So we
Yeah.
saw like concept of, whereas literally we just saw a thatched version of the Assassin's Creed logo hanging from a tree for the Hexe one.
All right.
So, but that would be like, that's the interesting one. I hope, in my opinion, I really just wish Assassin's Creed would just go back to the having the one character and just actually having the balls to fucking go with it. Because the only reason they brought this multiple, are you playing as male Ivor or female Ivor, is because the female character was the male character and they were scared of the backlash. That's happened every single
Yeah.
time. Every time there's been the choice,
Yeah.
the answer was we wanted a female protagonist, but Ubisoft said you're going to put a male one in instead. And it's dumb.
I don't understand why they get cold feet about that either. You know how many dudes I know who play like MMOs or stuff where they choose the girl just
Yeah.
because? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello. He's down here.
Like I
Yeah,
say,
exactly.
like honestly, like genuinely, I'm very interested in to see where. I mean, it's going to take like, it's probably not going. It's going to be 3 or 4 years until we probably see Hexe properly.
You know what? Having one to think about for a while and be like, oh, time to stew on that one while I just ignore the other ones, that is probably better for the hype cycle than, if it came out 2 years from now.
I think that's the takeaway, right? Is this Assassin's Creed Infinity thing, I think, can blow up in their face and be an absolute train wreck. And I wouldn't be surprised if the first one comes out and people just don't understand it to the point where they just start releasing them standalone anyway again. And it's just like that you get a boxed version of whatever the Shinobi one is called and whatever Hexe is called. But I think that they've chosen two really good ideas to try and start this off. I feel like feudal Japan and Salem
that's the
witch
one everyone's been
trials,
asking for, and then this other
the
one
most
that nobody
requested
was asking for, but that
and
sounds really cool.
and a really
Yeah.
compelling idea, a really good idea. Like, they could have gone super generic, but they went for like, even feudal Japan, even though it is like a generic choice, it's still an interesting era because they haven't done
Yeah.
anything like that in Assassin's Creed. Whereas we've done like Rome and Greece and all of those kind of things. They could have very much have gone for like another empire kind of situation in that regard, but we've already done that.
There was a third one that I saw while I was like, because I actually missed the Witch Trials one. I saw it in a code name Jade or something where it's set in like China.
That's the
Like,
mobile game. Yeah.
oh, that's the mobile game. Okay, oops.
Yeah, that's the mobile game, which is also a full game apparently, but we'll see. But no,
Okay, well,
some
I
interesting
don't care.
ideas, some interesting.
Yeah.
I'm interested, but also it's Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed, so they're probably my hope will probably
So
die.
yeah,
But we can dream.
yeah, just cautiously optimistic about just the concept. And it might be one of those things where the closer it gets to reality, the more I'm like, maybe this isn't it. But who knows?
Yeah, it's just like I say, the potential's there. So I'm like, damn, this is your chance to bring it back in. But will they? Will they not? Who knows? Who knows? It's interesting, regardless. Anyway, let's wrap this up because it's already late because we started recording late. So let's wrap this up with just some quick impressions of some games that we've been playing. So Hunter, you've been playing River City Girls, the original.
Yeah.
How old is that game now? It's been a couple of years since that came out, right?
River City Girls came out in 2019, I believe.
So not too long.
Yeah, not super long ago, but so what it is essentially is like a 2D arcade beat 'em up game like Streets of Rage or Double Dragon. Actually, the it's following on, or like it's a kind of modernization of this series.
Mhm.
River City Ransom was the game back on like the NES or SNES with Kunio was the guy's name, and he had like a million games. I looked all this up after I like got this game. I was like, oh, this is interesting because the whole premise of River City Girls is like the Kyoko and Misako are the two girls, and their boyfriends got like kidnapped or something, and they basically are gonna beat up the entire city until they find their boyfriends. And you meet a bunch of wacky characters along the way and you punch them in the face and it's a good time. It's funny because I can't really. The reason that this appeals to me more than like I don't know any of these other 2D beat 'em ups like the Ninja Turtles game that just came out or something, I think is I just really like its style, like the visual. Like Arc System Works is the publisher, so it's got cool animated cutscenes. Way Forward is the developer, so
Mhm.
it's well made as far as that goes. They got the characters hit that they're not overly complex in any way, but they're endearing enough to compel me to see the story through and all that. There was a secret ending that I goofed up getting it because instead of going back to do the requirement, I just hit New Game Plus by accident. But I still wanted to know what happened, so I looked up the ending, the secret ending,
Mhm.
and all
No,
that.
fair enough.
Um, as far as the gameplay goes, I played this by myself, but it's probably more fun with a second person because it's just the way these kind of games are made. Uh, pretty. I feel like there's more to it than the other games that I've played like this, like Castle Crashers. For example, you had a light combo and a heavy combo, and that was about it. I felt like I could mix and match like what I was doing at different stages of like my combo in this, like square, square, and then
Mhm.
triangle for a heavy thing was different than just hitting square 5 times and then pushing triangle once. And circle was the special moves that all like you get a direction for each of them and it does a solid thing. The two characters that you can play as, they can like you do the same things for the similar moves, but it's like a Smash Brothers character where the properties of those moves are different, that kind of thing. And the
Mhm.
soundtrack is really cool. It's like this synthy kind of city pop type of ordeal. It's really well made. They've got these really cool vocal songs that when they pop in, I I like ran back and forth between the two rooms that the first one showed up in for like 20 minutes, and I was like, oh, this is sweet. Yeah. So River City Girls is really cool, and I will be interested to play the second one if it comes out this year, like they say it will.
Yeah, they're cutting it short. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
But no, I heard a lot of good things when it came out originally,
Mhm.
so I'm glad that you finally got around to it and you're liking it.
Yeah.
And hey, Way
for sure.
Forward, like they say, Way Forward does some interesting stuff. They seem to be doing. They do all sorts of stuff. They're a very interesting
They really
developer.
do.
They got their fingers in a lot of pies. Like
They
they got
do.
Shantae. They did the Mighty Switch Force games
They
that
did Advanced
you guys like.
Wars. If that ever gets
That
released,
if it ever gets to see the light of day.
where's the direct Nintendo? Where is it? But no, it's interesting. So yeah, I'm glad that you're enjoying it. On the other hand, guess we'll wrap up with this. I played The Artful Escape, which is an indie game that came out last year, which is available on PlayStation Extra and was available on on Xbox Game Pass. I think it's just gone off. As of recording, it will have gone off because it's off on the 12th, I think. I played it on PlayStation because it has an easy plat. I'm not ashamed to admit it, boys. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I installed it on my Xbox and then saw it was an extra and I saw the platinum was literally just beat the game. So I was like, fuck you, Xbox. Off the PlayStation I go to get my artificial, arbitrary points that make me feel better about myself.
Just so Persona can be your 150th.
Like what, 5 more to go, something like that? I don't know. I'm bottom of the barrel, dude. I'm going to play a game about a fox or something next at this rate. It's going to be tragic. But anyway,
Blaze Blue Tag Battle has a really easy plat.
No, it doesn't. You're just saying that because
No, it actually really does, dude.
No,
you get it just from playing the video game.
Last Blue Tag Battle
and the online shit. I will give that to you.
Nah, bro, that's not true. Let me have a look. Screw this for a second. Difficulty 3 out of 10. Oh yeah, it only takes 7 hours apparently. Basics of combat, story, one last warm up, the online warrior, spending spree. Oh yeah, it is fucking free apparently. What is this?
It is.
These trophies can be earned in versus mode or in an online match. Oh yeah, I could get you to farm this for me. Hey, that might be an idea if that ever goes cheap. Anyway, I played The Artful Escape, and I don't know, this game, people were hyped about this game last year if I remember correctly. It's an Annapurna game, so you know, those games kind of get a bit hyped up rather frequently, don't they? It's like how Stray got hyped up, or how was 12 Minutes in Annapurna? I feel like it was.
12 Minutes was published by Annapurna.
You know how Annapurna games
and Devolver Digital are both like the two indie the publishers where they publish like indie games that'll get you some spike in attention that others won't.
Definitely, and I feel like last year was an interesting year for them because they had 12 minutes in this, and I don't hate The Artful Escape. I don't think it's a bad thing, like a bad game, but man, like it is genuinely right. Here's the premise, right, Cal? I'll give you the premise, right?
All right, lay it on me. Give me the
elevator
premise,
pitch. Right, the premise of The Artful Escape is you're playing as a character whose name I do not remember, but it was a very boring name, so we'll just go with Jerry. No, I won't. I'll look it up. His name is Francis. There you go. It doesn't fucking matter.
Close enough.
His name is Francis, right? And so Francis is a folk singer who comes from a very small country town who has a famous uncle who was basically world renowned. He was like a famous folk singer, and he made this town famous because of who he was. Mm-hmm. And basically, this town has a lot of pressure on him to basically be the next version of his uncle, so that they can carry on the legacy. They kind of force him into what he wants to be. But Francis really likes like space opera music, like, you know, the kind of like orchestra, like heavy, like kind of jazzy, kind of very much synthy kind of space opera music. And so one day he basically gets I don't know if abducted is the right term, but he basically gets this opportunity to explore the universe and go through this space opera of his own, where he basically becomes the greatest space opera player in the whole universe. And it's basically a game where you have an electric guitar and it's basically like, it has rhythm game elements, and it's basically just a journey throughout the stars with like a really cool soundtrack. And you think, you know, oh, it should have some interesting gameplay to it. It does fuck all. It's literally walk from left to right, dude. It's a 2D basic platformer where you walk from left to right, and if you hold square, you play music. Like, that is literally it. That is the gameplay loop. If you hold square, you play music, and the world interacts with it, and that's it. That's the game, and it's about 2 hours long. And it's like, the story it tells, it's not bad, but also you can probably tell where it's going from the start of it. he figures out he finds out who he wants to be. It's basically just the story of an insecure artist trying to find what he wants to be in the world. And it's like that's it. It's just kind of it's like 3 hours. You just kind of get through it. It's just running to the right and holding square. And the rhythm game section's not even that good either because you can play them at any order. And it's just like for some reason it's like the icons are like square, triangle, circle, and then L1 and R1. But because of the way that the buttons are, all four of the buttons are on the right side and one of them's on the left side of your controller. But because they're all centralized, it fucks with your brain. Because it's like every button bar one is on one side of your hand. So it just doesn't feel great to play, in my opinion. There's something about the layout where it just doesn't feel good. You know? It's like how in Melody of Memory, everything that you have to play is on that one button, is on your hand, on your right hand. Or with Persona, the buttons that are on the left side of the screen are on the left side of your controller. The right side on the right side. Guitar Hero, all of the buttons are in order to the same way they are on the screen. There's like some consistency there. Whereas in the Artful Escape, even the colors that the little holes like shine up on are not the colors of the fucking square, triangle, X or anything. There is no key other than you to remember that's the left face button, that's the middle face button, that's the right face button, that's R1, L1. And it's not bad, it still works, but it's not good enough for my brain to feel like it's natural or that it's good to play. It's basically Simon Says, where the enemy will go triangle, square, circle, R1, and you do that and they go, oh, he's a fucking genius, that guy is. Like, it's not even playing in time to music, it's copying. It's like, I didn't hate it, but it just felt like such a nothing video game that I was like, yeah, glad I didn't pay for it. Like, it was like, there's some good music and the art's good, and I guess it has a story. There you go. There's my review for the Artful
I
Escape.
guess it has a story. Yeah, when I saw this, when I saw the like trailer for this, I'm like, oh, or when I heard people talk about it, it's like it sounds like it was made for like people who like older rock acts, like fans of David Bowie or
Yeah,
something.
definitely.
Like the whole story that you just said sounded like similar to like him coming up with his Ziggy Stardust persona or
Yeah,
whatever.
and it's
You know,
definitely
even
like that because it is about creating a persona and doing all that stuff. But it's like there's no substance there. There's nothing there to it. It's literally walking from left to right.
yeah,
Like at least with like something like Everybody's Gone to the Rapture or Edith Finch, there's a mystery or something that there's a reason that you're walking around, which is why the fuck am I walking around this game? I know why I'm walking around because I'm pissing about going through space. So why
yeah.
is everything just walking from left to right? And it's like there's just nothing to it really. There's just nothing to it. It's like yeah.
My brother, he played a Esther a couple days ago, and I was sitting in the room while I did it. That is the most nothing game walking sim I've ever like bore witness to because you're just this dude on an island by himself, and there's like, I guess there would be a what's the deal here, but it's just the guy talking nonsense the whole time too. Like, there's nothing to it. Like, man, you rambled and there was no context for anything, man.
Genuinely, my review of the Artful if I could describe my experience with the Artful Escape in like one sentence, it would be this. It was I played a third of the game and wanted to stop for the day, but realized that if I stopped playing, I would never pick this up again. That is my review, so I forced myself to play this for the whole game in one sitting. Because I played 45 minutes and I went, okay, I've had enough now. This is kind of boring, but I knew I wasn't going to go back. And that's what it was. Like, if it hits for you, I'm glad that it hits for you. But for me, it just kind of existed, and I can see why. I can see why it was nominated for a lot of stuff, like best score in music last year, or
Yeah.
like art direction, because it has some great art direction. It's a really good looking video game. It looks really nice. It sounds really nice. There's just no substance to it, and it kind of sucks. Good premise, not really good execution in terms of a video game, which seems to be the same issue as 12 minutes. So
Yeah.
you know, is what it is.
Annapurna had one of those that was a good premise and solidly executed with Sayonara Wild Hearts was really good. It was like an actual rhythm game with a cool
Mm.
visual style and
I actually own Sayonara Wild Hearts. I've got a physical copy on Switch because I bought it. It was like
Dude,
it was like
I
£7
didn't
on
know there
sale.
was a physical copy for that game for a while, and then I saw like I think I was walking through Best Buy one time while my brother was buying a computer or something, and I saw it like in a box, and I was like, "What?"
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
it exists. I'll play it one day. I do have it.
that's a solid little time. It's just a couple. It's like 2 hours maybe.
Cool. Sounds like fun. I'll definitely do it. Definitely do it. But yeah, with that, I guess we're done. I'm done. It's R3. I'm tired. It's over. We've had
Cut the feed.
Cut the feed. But it was an interesting one, you know. Kyle's computer died. Splatoon 3's good. Artful Escape isn't. Ubisoft's having us hope about Assassin's Creed, so we're huffing some right cocaine.
Dangerous time we're here.
Dangerous
timeline
timeline. That's how dry we are in fucking 2022 with video games that we're going, you know, Assassin's Creed right now sounds actually alright if they pulled through. Jeez. Crazy.
Yeah.
But now let us know how you guys are doing, what you've been playing. Are you enjoying Splatoon 3? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. And yeah, I guess all links are on screen right now. You can go follow us on Twitter if you want to keep up to date with everything that we're doing outside of the podcast. A lot of Splatoon 3.
Yeah.
Not much else. No time. Too busy Splatoon 3.
I think Ethan and I have some clips to upload.
I have a couple of clips, yeah. There's some fun stuff. But hey, if you don't want to check that out, that's cool too. You can go. I've just realized I have to do this way right now because my Stream Deck doesn't work. Let's try. Where is it? It's there. You can go and follow us on Twitter at HotGamersOnly or subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/HotGamersOnly. And hey, if you don't want to look at our stupid faces, that's cool too. You can head to the link tree in the description or search for Hot Gamers Only on your favorite podcast service like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you name it. We're on it. I had to do it with the actual scenes thing, and I was like, oh god, what are they called? And like, it's fine. We're good. New OBS killed my thing, so I have to do it like the old-fashioned way. I'm like, oh, truly tragic.
Oh.
The dark ages when you have to actually click things yourself. Ew. No.
God. Ethan has to go churn his own butter for his dinner after this.
Basically. With the way the energy crisis is going, Hunter, I probably will soon. It's not even a joke.
Oh no.
But anyway, it's all fun.
That with her too.
Oh god, no! We're not ending it with a controversial joke as well. No. No. Anyway, it's been fun. God, what a weird episode this has been, dude. What an end.
Look, no one made it this far anyway. It's okay.
Yeah, it's true.
They'll never know.
It's true. Anyway, that's all for this week. Thank you ever so much for listening / watching. We'll be back same time, same place next week for more. What? I have no fucking idea.
Maybe the Nintendo Direct will happen next week.
Oh, I'm hoping. Come on,
Wouldn't that
Reggie.
be swell?
Reggie's not even there.
That would
Come
be
on,
nice.
Bowser.
Come on, Reggie.
Come on, Reggie. Still pull through. I believe. But we'll be back next week regardless. What we'll talk about, who knows? But until then, have an awesome week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye.
See ya.
Toodaloo.